Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into an East Asian Buddhist temple, but we're not just going to look at it like tourists. We're going to see it for what it really is, a masterfully designed psychological space. You could almost call it a kind of technology built specifically to guide the human mind. So, let's start the journey.
Has this ever happened to you? You're rushing through a chaotic city, your mind is just a storm of notifications and to-do lists, and then you see it, a temple gate. And for just a moment, something inside you just settles. Why is that? What's going on there?
Well, here's the thing. It is absolutely not an accident. And it's not some fuzzy mystical energy either. It is by design. For centuries, these places have been engineered to be interzaces for our minds, intentionally built to help us shift from that default state of everyday chaos to a place of real clarity and focus.
And that whole process, it kicks off the very second you approach the entrance. So let's start right there, by crossing the threshold. This is the mountain gate, or Sanmen. And what's funny is, even if the temple is plunked right in the middle of a flat city, it's still called the mountain gate. Its whole purpose is to be a kind of buffer zone. Think of it like an interruption signal for your brain. It's designed to snap you right out of your mental autopilot. You know, that constant background noise of what's next and what am I forgetting? So the name Sanmen literally translates to three gates, which represents what you see here, the three gates of liberation. But what's really cool is how we can translate these ancient ideas into, psychological actions we can use today. The empty gate, that's about seeing the underlying structure of a situation, not just getting stuck on the surface level problem. The signless gate is a prompt to just drop our labels. I'm a failure, this is hopeless. And the wishless gate, well, that's an invitation to let go of all that frantic, forced effort and just find a more natural, easier rhythm. So once we've passed through that mental buffer zone, we step into the first main courtyard and see the Hall of Heavenly Kings. This is where the emotional journey really starts. Think of it as a container for the heart. Now, the layout of this hall is anything but random. It's actually a very carefully choreographed three-step psychological process. First, you are received. Second, you get stabilized. And third, you are guided. Let's break down exactly what that means. The very first thing you see is this huge, jolly, pot-bellied figure, Maitreya. And that smile, it's not just a happy decoration. It's a powerful, nonverbal message. It's basically saying, you are welcome here. All of you. Bring your stress, bring your anger, bring your confusion, bring it all in. You are accepted, right now, just as you are. It's an immediate release of that pressure we all feel to be perfect. Then, your gaze shifts to the sides of the hall, and you see these four massive, fierce-looking guardians. Now, they can look pretty intimidating, right? But their purpose is the complete opposite. They're here to be symbolic containers for all your inner chaos, your anxiety, your anger, your swirling confusion. The idea is that they are strong enough to hold all of it, to stabilize it, so that you don't have to carry that weight all by yourself. Let's just zoom in on one of them, the King of the East, Dhritarashtra. See how he's holding a pipa, which is a kind of lute? This is such a brilliant illustration of the Buddhist concept of the middle way. That instrument is a metaphor for your mind. If you pull the strings too tight with anxiety and effort, they'll snap. But if they're too loose with apathy, they won't make any sound at all. The goal is to find that sweet spot, that perfect tension for a mind that's balanced, focused, and ready. And hey, what about that little figure being stepped on? It's not some monster he conquered in a battle. And this is the most important part. That demon symbolizes our own inner turbulence, our messy desires, our emotional heat, all the parts of ourselves that we struggle to get a handle on. So the image isn't about violence, it's about mastery. It's about acknowledging those parts of yourself and placing them under the gentle control of a balanced mind. Okay, so you've been received, you've been stabilized, and then you walk around the screen behind Maitreya. And there you find Weituo. He's a general, a protector, but he's standing with his back to you, facing into the main temple complex. He doesn't look at you. He doesn't judge. He just stands there, silently pointing the way. The message is just so clear and so powerful. The only way is forward. Now let's see how this journey can deepen in another part of the temple, often in a side hall. This is where the whole process gets even more profound, as we start to think about the weight of a vow. So in one of these halls, you might meet Kshitigarbha, or Dizang. And what's really unique about him is how he looks. Unlike all the other celestial heavenly beings, he's shown as a simple monk, with a shaved head and humble robes. And that makes his vow even more powerful. His famous vow is so often misunderstood. It is not a promise to magically rescue you from pain. It's something so much deeper than that. It is the ultimate expression of empathy, of solidarity. It's a promise to stay with you in your suffering, to bear witness to it, and to never, ever leave you, no matter how dark things get. It's the very embodiment of compassionate presence.
Okay, so we've been talking about all this deep psychology, but let's be honest. What about all the other stuff you see at a temple? The smoke, the noise, the people praying for things that maybe don't seem very Buddhist. Let's tackle that because it's a really important part of the picture. It's an invitation, not an ideal.
I mean, you've seen it, right? People are burning huge bundles of incense, praying for good exam results, for their business to take off, for a healthy baby. And it's really easy to feel a little skeptical and ask, wait, is this what it's all about? Is this real Buddhism? Well, from the perspective of humanistic Buddhism, these folk rituals are not seen as impure or wrong at all. They're seen as a compassionate and really skillful entry point. See, the goal of a ritual might be to soothe a very real, very immediate anxiety. The goal of deeper practice is to understand the root cause of that anxiety. The ritual is an invitation to start the journey. It meets people exactly where they are, in the middle of their real-life struggles, and it offers them a first step onto a much deeper path.
So as we start to bring this all together, we can see that the entire journey is really a physical map for an internal process, which leads to the big question, how can you use this map to build your own mountain gate?
You know, what this all boils down to is that the temple's architecture isn't just about art or history. It is a blueprint for managing our own minds. It teaches a sequence. First, receive yourself with unconditional acceptance. Second, find a way to contain and stabilize your turbulent emotions. And third, orient yourself and find a clear direction to move forward. And that leaves us with one last question. Because you don't need a physical temple to practice this. So where in your daily life can you build your own mountain gate? Maybe it's just taking 2 deep breaths before you walk into the office. Maybe it's putting your phone away for the first 10 minutes you get home. Where can you create a tiny intentional space to interrupt your autopilot and choose, really choose, how you want to enter the next moment of your life?